The best time to catch up is now. Catch up sessions.
Hello and welcome to Catch Up Sessions. Thank you for checking back in. My name is Mark Laguna, and you're catching me still on my introspection spree. That's all we've been talking about for the last many sessions of this season. And today we'll dive right into too much rest. Is there even such a thing as too much? Of course, first thing that comes to mind, too much of anything is not good for you. But on this subject, close to my heart at the very moment, rest. That means not busying yourself with, those that occupies your time, whether that's physically or one can even say in terms of thinking time. You spend all of your waking hours, sometimes even your dreams too, pondering about things, and that sort of counts as unrest or being in a state of not being in an inactive mode. So I wanted to talk about this because for the last couple of weeks, I feel like I have found myself in this mode of I wake up, I go to work, and I go back home with not much of anything else to do. Whereas, I guess before that time, I always had something. Whatever that something is, could be more work, to be done, or socializing with friends, tinkering, getting busy with classes. So for some reason, all or most of that took a pause in the last couple of weeks. And what sort of occurred to me is how unnerving it is. The responses could be of acceptance, of which, yes, finally, some rest time. But it's not like I've been overworking myself. Again, and I'm talking about beyond work, but also in the other things. Although people have, commented in how I stretch myself with way too many activities in my day or in my week, my response to that is it's relative, really, with your capacity, mind space, attention. I, for one, know someone else who seems like, again, I use the term seems like because no one knows for sure what goes on in another person's head. But this other person, if you follow his socials, he's just everywhere all at once. Well, not all at once, but it's like one after the other. It's like the multi-slashy of all multi-slashies. And it's not like that's what I have been wanting to become. But then seeing someone else become more of what you're living in the moment, then, puts what you do into perspective too. And we're not talking primarily about comparisons, but it just, again, allows you to put things in perspective. Which is why I also want to put this quote-unquote too much rest into perspective. I know it sounds a little bit too privileged to be talking about it because I can go home, there's food available for me, roof on top of my head, a comfortable bed, and even the luxury of just talking in this podcast, whereas many others don't have access and literally physically cannot rest for their own survival. I get all of that. So again, it is putting things in perspective as to how thankful I should be when given this time, space, mind space opportunity to just sit back, relax, and kick it old school with some TV and whatnot. But for you first world people who listen to this, you know what I mean, right? It still gets to you. And so goes the question, what is the proper response when faced with this now dilemma of feeling like you're not doing enough, or that you can spend your times in doing something a lot more purposeful than what you have been for a while now? And if I had the answer, gosh, then there wouldn't be this conversation with you. I'm still in the middle of pondering about it, to be honest. I'm also now sort of gaining that additional perspective when I do talk to some folks about it, to say that, yeah, actually a lot has been happening in the workplace, for example. So it might not be as exciting or busy outside of work, but it sure is in work. And while I don't think about work primarily outside of the work hours or outside of the confines of the floor walls of where I do my business, that in and of itself should be giving me a sense of like things getting done, so that I don't feel guilty, but I don't really want to use that word, when I do have my downtimes. And as I mentioned, it is more than the usual downtimes I get. But then there are other times when I feel like I have so many things happening left and right. So let me just call it seasonal then, this uptime and downtime. And just live in the moment too, because I saw myself wandering and wondering, by my veranda, thinking about how it used to be when I was stuck inside my little hole, which is my condominium, during the middle of the pandemic. And it is much like that. You just had so many time in my hands, and that is how this podcast came about. So maybe, just maybe, when we face and we see ourselves into more downtime than we're used to, it might just stir up something a lot more creative and purposeful and meaningful to our day than just actually now I realize I sound like I'm crying over something that's not even something to be upset about. But so goes the pondering. That's why I really still do find a lot of this internal dialogue helpful, and the hope is someone else finds some sort of aha and awakening in this too much rest topic. Now, if you're in a place where you've been gasping for air, wanting that rest, believe me, you'll get there, and you'll end up here feeling like it's too much. So whichever season you might be in it and be in it fully. Know that there is time for work and for downtime, for entertainment, and for burning the midnight oil. Again, we're just in different parts of the race called life. And if you have any ideas, I would be more than happy to hear what one can do when you have so much time in your hands, so that I can fill it with a lot more purposeful things for when the wheels get back to turning post this rest season I am in. And I guess we end it with a proper response for the time being of thankfulness and gratefulness that I'm even given this opportunity to be just in and of my thoughts, because nothing else is pressing in terms of demands for the moment. And with that, I will go back to this fun state of mind. Wishing you a wonderful rest time. It is Sunday as I record this. Hopefully most of your Sundays, apart from going to church to worship and hear the word, is spent with fellowship with family and friends, and most importantly, rest for yourself and gearing up for an adventurous week ahead. Take it easy, and that's all for now here on Catch Up Sessions.